Hello, folks, and welcome. I know one of my viewers was giving one of my players a little bit of shit for us starting late. It's my fault, not his fault. Um,
Hi.
welcome. You just came in. We just started. So welcome everybody to Main Chat Nerd Night, where a bunch of us folks from various places on the internet get together and play some Dungeons and Dragons. When last we left off, the group had arrived in the city of Bren, made a couple of interesting discoveries about the current state of the city, decided to take a little bit of time in the evening and visit a cult gathering, as they like to call it. Learned a couple of interesting things there, learned a couple of very sort of strange things about the goals of the cult. Seemed to be less about sort of, sacrificing babies and more about converting to this energy source of some kind. It seemed relatively unspecified. However, the cult was affiliated with a demon lord, which is a bit of an issue for some members of the party. Rurik had been given a slight nudge by his patron deity to perhaps take a look in this direction, and the rest of the group actually interacted with the cult leader, who was... Actually, I don't think you guys know what he is. He has ashen skin and white eyes. White hair as well.
I think Prudence identified him.
Did you? I don't remember. Let's take a look. So you guys went back to the inn you were staying at in Bren. That's right, Brenethar County, city of Bren, because the Sund are very creative with their naming schemes. And you just bedded down for the evening. Prudence tested out his new spell, Liamon's tiny hut within the room, and used it to ensure that Hoyd did not have access to his instrument. Come morning, the sun begins to rise. You're just getting to the 8-hour window of Liamon's time. So Hoyd, you ask Prudence for a little sliver of copper wire, and Prudence says, "I need it intact and unmodified. Can you promise to do that?" You can, and Hoyd, if you want to just reply that back. Or I'll vocalize it, that's fine too.
Yep, that's fine.
Hoyd, you reply back.
I like when you do it.
It will not look like a tiny caricature of you, I promise.
So I leave the Dome of No Fun and pick up my loot.
You exit the No Fun Dome.
No.
And I actually want to look around the room to see if I can find a mirror.
A mirror. Yeah, taking a quick glance around, you kind of have to like shuffle around the outside of Liam's tiny hut. You can pass through it relatively easily, but it is opaque from the outside. So you can't look through it. So you kind of have to go around the dome. You don't find a mirror in the room that you're in. There doesn't seem to be anything hung from the walls or anything like that.
All right. There's no wash basin or anything.
There is a wash basin. It's just a simple sort of steel construction tucked in the corner.
Oh.
There's no water in it currently.
That's fine. I'll find something. All right. I am going to leave the room. And do I remember where the other two are staying? The three.
Yes. You're not immediately adjacent, but you do know from the room numbers that are on your. You would have recalled the room numbers that you were given. As you're making your way out of the room, Prudence kind of stands and doesn't say anything and doesn't make direct eye contact with you, but holds out his sort of sliver of copper wire.
I appreciate it, sir.
He He relinquishes. Okay, he relinquishes the wire to you and then turns to follow you.
Do you mind? Fine. I used a little copper wire to wake everybody up.
Bye.
Messaging a little tune into their heads.
I knew it.
All right, so you cast message. Yeah, it's not technically in the wording of the spell, but I'll allow you to hum a little ditty, and they receive the hum in the back of their heads. So most of you, wake up feeling fairly refreshed. Those of you that were asleep, you are awoken to the sound of Hoyd humming into the back of your head. You look around, you don't see him immediately in the room.
How did you... What? Why?
And I hold out the piece of copper wire behind me to Prudence.
So you're standing in the hallway, Prudence is behind you, you kind of like, with your hand behind your back, push the copper wire back toward him. Prudence says, excellent, thank you. He takes the wire and tucks it away.
I spared you out of your kindness.
I leave the room and address Hoyd. You are extremely proficient when you don't have your instruments even.
Well, at least he's
That's called being resourceful.
Resourceful, yeah.
At least he's
I'm-
consistent with his wake-up calls.
I'm a bit
Whatever would
exasperated,
we
but I don't say anything.
Whatever
Okay.
would we do with him?
Zook, you leave the room and just like, with your hair kind of messed up underneath your hat, just look at him, look at Hoyd, and just sigh and don't say anything. Prudence, once Prudence receives his copper wire back, he turns back to the room. At this point, you can see Lehman's tiny hut just shimmer out when you leave the hut. And he collects his belongings, takes a little scrap of food out from his pack and feeds Deer, who overnight Deer had been relatively well behaved, but now that everyone else is awake, she's definitely awake. She's hopping around and chirping, and she accepts the food, though being a familiar, she doesn't really need it.
I think I've made an interesting meta observation.
What's up?
Okay.
So like, you know how Hoyd and Zook kind of mix and match the rogue and bard stereotypes?
A bit, yeah.
It seems like we can't have the same one at the same time. So it's like, if like Hoyd is being silly, then Zook is being serious.
What do they call
And
it?
vice versa.
What do they call it in children? Mirror neurons, I think.
Or dramatic foil.
I thought those were
Alrighty. So the rest of you are awoken to the sound of Hoyd humming into the back of your head.
I would like to actually search for a mirror.
Okay.
Something I can use.
Yeah. So you go down the. It's not exactly a hallway, but you go down the row of doors that you're in, and there is a public washroom that's available for everyone who is a tenant at the inn. There's somebody in there currently, but they appear to be shaving, but you do see there is a not great but rudimentary metal mirror of some kind on the wall.
That'll do. So I loiter outside, patiently waiting my turn.
Okay. Is anybody else doing anything during this time?
I'm just packing up my stuff, getting ready to set out.
Yeah.
So Hoyd, what was the plan for today?
Step 1, find the Lawmaster.
Are you going to tell me step 2, or are we pacing it out?
We're pacing it out for dramatic effect. Step 2, collect all the children. Step 3, tell them a nice story. Step 4, collect all the cultists.
And as you two are having this conversation, Prudence, you go into Rurik and Shigun's room and pester them a bit because you're already done packing and you've got nothing better to do.
Do we have any questions about the plan? Since I'm waiting?
You know, I
As
think I kind of get your approach. Because if this fails, then you get an even better story to tell.
You're getting it.
as you two are having this conversation, Hoyd, you look into the washroom and the person who's almost finished shaving has turned to look at you two with like one eyebrow up and then slowly turns back and finishes the last bit of his shaving, dips, cleans his razor off and puts his little kit away and walks out of the washroom and like presses up against the wall to give you as wide a berth as possible.
I stare him down.
He's not looking at you. He is not making eye contact.
I'm sure he feels the presence. Okay, so I duck into the washroom.
Okay. So the washroom, the basin does not have clean water. Unfortunately, it does have the previous tenant's hair and what passes for shaving cream in this world.
That's fine.
There is a relatively large basin of clean water off to the side. You gather probably to be used for bathing. And on the count, sort of on the wall, about for you would be slightly below head level. There's a metal, like I said, not incredibly great mirror, but it's a mirror.
Okay. I'd like to spend a little bit of time changing outfits, and I'm going to modify how my hair is and affix a handlebar mustache.
Oh, okay. This is a piece of a performance or disguise kit, or is it magical?
It is. It is mundane.
Okay, piece of your disguise or performance kit, I believe. Okay.
Yep, disguise kit. So
Yep,
I'm going to alter the way I look.
You muss your hair up as much as it pains you, and give yourself a nice big bushy handlebar mustache. Okay. And what clothes are you wearing now?
So I have a different set of clothing. I have really nice fine black pants, nice black shoes, a bright red coat with some gold lace down the buttons.
Okay.
And I still have my cravat on.
Like a double-breasted
Wait.
shirt, more or less?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I still have my cravat, but I'm wearing it properly this time instead of as a kerchief.
Alrighty. So you finish up, and as you finish up, you're putting your disguise together, as it were. You leave the room, you leave the washroom. Zook has wandered back to Rurik and Shigun's room, along with Prudence, and you overhear a conversation about what Lehman's tiny hut is exactly, and why it's not particularly hut-like.
I'm just reading back through this whole conversation.
Well, you wouldn't have heard most of this. You would have heard maybe the last 2 lines.
That's fine.
What kind of place this Leomund lived in?
Well, don't you look dapper, Mr. Hoyd?
Who?
Leomund. It's supposed to be his hut, isn't it?
Is that his new nickname now? Is Hoyd going by Lehman?
No, I'm not going by
that's
Liam.
called.
So, what should your new moniker for today be?
Prudence, can you
Today-
explain it?
Lord Bartleby.
Lord Bartleby.
Lord Bartleby.
Lord Bartleby. Okay.
Bartleby.
I knew someone with a cat named Bartleby.
Well, that is not me.
Wait, why do you have this? Why you got this whole setup?
Where, why? Because I do, and I have it.
No, I mean, like, why are you using a different name?
Why not?
This isn't usually a why not sort of situation. It's like usually like you're trying to like hide something or something.
You remember what happened last night, right?
Ah, you mean
Not that well.
I feel I was seen.
You're talking about the cultist from last night, right?
Indeed, I was.
Yes, I
I
believe
suppose that makes some sense.
I want to shake some things up a little bit.
you did enough shaking things up the other night.
I did. This is more to protect myself.
Understandable. I do agree that a disguise seems wise in this case.
Are you still going on about the tiny hut? The dome of no fun?
Well, there's nothing wrong with a little pragmatism in such a spell.
I agree. It just needs a better name because it's completely not hut-like at all.
I'm thinking he like hasn't been to a hut, like he hasn't seen one. He's just heard people talk about huts and he just thinks this is what it looks like.
A hut is.
It's magic. Do you really have to explain it?
Yes, we have to explain everything. How else would we learn?
Well, I mean, someone designed this magic. Someone who's very
Okay.
learned in the art of magic.
I am ready to go. Who else is?
He could certainly do a better job than I can.
It's probably like, oh, like it looks like a dome. I don't know. That's probably a hut.
I mean, you could
Probably too proud to ask.
You could probably read how to build one physically and just build it yourself.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, but
We should go.
Ah,
Leomund is
never
leaving.
mind.
Bartleby.
Or Bartleby, I should say.
Yes, it's Bartleby. We'll
Yeah.
see how well this goes. It might be permanent. We'll see.
Oh God.
Oh no. Permanent disguise. Anyway, yes, we should be on our way.
I'm going to follow Bartleby.
I should
Bartle?
wear a suit.
Keep it together, guys.
Okay, let's go.
So we're off to find the Lawmaster first.
Yeah, I believe so.
The Lawmaster, not the Loremaster.
Right. Whatever. Did we?
No,
Figure out a
they're
plan
not the
to how-
same thing.
Yes, I know that. Did we figure out a plan on how to approach him, other than me do it?
Hmm.
Rurik, did you have a Zone of Truth that you wanted to use?
I mean, I do have it, but I don't necessarily want to use it because I can't use it covertly.
Well, that's fine. Prudence, do you have any ideas?
Oops, I don't have that channel on. There we go.
Let's see.
Ah, it's backwards for me. Hold on. Prudence says,
Yes, I
sorry,
suppose you were.
I was a little bit distracted. Can you repeat everything? He says, like, Deer's on his shoulder and he's like scratching under her beak.
Yes. Okay.
I chuckle.
Lawmaster, Rurik, Zone of Truth, question to you. Do you have any ideas? Yes, I know that. I told him
He
that
says,
already.
you mean you want to question the Lawmaster using the Zone of Truth? You should get his consent and tell him that you'll use it.
That's what I intend to do. Get his approval, use it, make sure we're all on the same playing field.
You know,
I
I
think
was
that's a
not
reasonable
expecting
request.
that from you.
From who? Me?
Yeah.
Why?
You seem like you're the kind of guy who would just use it, and just not tell them that you're using it
Well, it's not me
because
using
you think it'd be funny.
it. Yes, I would.
Excellent. You don't need my input then.
Great. All right. Where did the guard tell us where the Lawmaster was?
There is it toward the center of the city. The city is sort of built on a slow incline hill, just like a low hill, but there's a spire almost, not very high, so it's not really a spire, but it's pretty visible from most places in the city. The Knight of Bren pointed you toward it last night. He didn't give you a name for it, but it's pretty visible from most places in the city.
So we have a pretty good idea where it is, rather than a vague idea.
Yeah, I mean, he pointed it and you saw it. It wasn't like he just gave you a vague set of directions. It is intended to be seen.
Okay. So we will head off that direction. Everyone with?
Yep.
Yes, we're going.
Prudence is typing.
Okay, yeah, Prudence.
Great.
Prudence does trail the group, but he keeps a fairly good distance between himself and Hoyd. Just to be sure that nobody thinks that they have anything to do with each other.
Are there any small shops on the way that could purchase my own copper wire? So I'm not beholden to Prudence?
I'm tempted to say no, but yeah, there's a few small like knick-knack stores here and there. You come across one, and the individual that you speak to seems more interested in getting rid of it. It's almost like a junk store. So
okay.
he does offer to sell you the copper along with a number of other pieces of junk for a single copper piece. He just kind of gives you a bag of junk, and there's a copper wire that he sticks into it visibly so you know it's in there.
Great. I pull the copper wire out, drop the bag, and move on.
Wait, what's in the bag?
I don't know.
He doesn't care.
Okay, you go in and you look at it. There's small like strips of various different types of metals. There's some feathers inside. There are what look to be a few not precious stones, but rocks that have been polished and look presentable, but they're chipped and faded. There's a small there's like small strips of cloth in it. It's more or less just a collection of random junk. If it had a little bit more, it might be considered a component pouch, but it's not quite on that level of complexity.
What color feathers are there?
There are two white feathers, almost pure white, and there's one not eagle feather because it's not big, but it's about that color. It's about turkey feather coloration, so it's flecked brown. Like brown and white.
I'm trying to look up if I have a spell that can change the color of a feather?
I believe prestidigitation allows you to change the color of a solid object.
Temporarily, but I suppose it could.
Is it temporary?
I
I thought it was
will-
permanent.
Not prestidigitation.
Anyway.
Nothing prestidigitation does permanent.
I will,
Yeah, you
I
color a small
will-
mark or make a symbol on a surface. Yeah.
okay, I will take a, one of the white feathers and use prestidigitation to clean it, and then... like, I don't know, I'll just...
I mean, if you'd like, you could take the whole bag. Hoy did purchase it and then left it behind.
On the ground, disdainfully.
Do I want a feather? Feathers are pretty easy to get. Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna leave it.
Okay. You leave the bag behind. The shopkeep is kind of bewildered as somebody walks in, buys a small piece of copper for 1 copper, walks out. Somebody else walks in, looks at the bag that had been left behind, and then walks out. And let's see. Ah,
You two are utterly baffling sometimes.
I'll use my small wire
okay.
to the shopkeep. No one will believe you.
Oh no. You don't know if there's a... Actually, no. You do hear in the back of your head, what? That's... You don't see anything happen, but that's it.
Perfect.
That's rude.
I love this cantrip.
Not being responsible, young man. I'm kidding, I don't say that.
Lord Bartleby doesn't have to be responsible.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bartleby sounds like he has to be very responsible.
And what gave you that impression?
He's
Just you wait,
named
I'm not in
Bartleby.
character yet.
Anyway, never mind.
Alright, let's head up to the Lawmasters.
Okay.
Okay. So you make your way up to the spire, as it were. As you approach, you do see... you recognize these. You've had a number of encounters with the Knights of Bren. You see their presence gets denser, and there are 4 that flank the entrance to this building. There are a number of the town guard as well that you've seen around. There's not as many of them in this area. It seems the Knights of Bren sort of maintain this as their jurisdiction. But as you approach, they look at this motley group of individuals and just kind of acknowledge them, and they open the doors for you. They don't stop you, they don't question you, but you've got a couple of interesting characters with you. How much does the gear of the knights look like it costs? Make an intelligence check to see if you know enough about it.
I mean, I've seen adventurers go by every once in a while. I figure that's what they figure.
21. In gold cost, you would estimate, just looking at it, a lot of them are very clean. They're either new or haven't seen much battle. Probably in the area of 200 to 300 gold pieces, if you had to make an estimate. Also keeping in mind you don't see all of it, because there's some of it put away in pouches and stuff.
Hopefully not
Prudence just
cultist
comments.
dudes.
Yeah, and Prudence just comments, these outfits look pretty expensive. I wonder where they get all the money for them.
Hopefully not cultist dudes.
That's a great question. Do they have tithe?
From taxes, you dummies!
Oh, that's right. We don't pay those.
That is not what I meant.
And at the mention of someone apparently shirking their financial responsibilities, one of them kind of cocks an ear. They don't make any motion, they just kind of be like, adventurers. Prudence says,
I'm having too much fun at their expense.
You don't pay taxes? You're supposed to.
To who? Anyway, moving on. We should probably not talk about this in the Lawmaster.
You pay taxes from stuff. It's like bundled in the price of the cost of items at some shops, and bars and taverns and such as well. You buy a house, some of that money goes to the local lord.
Princess, you don't
If someone-
get representation without taxation.
If someone
Oh no.
in an ordered enough structure that's not a thieves guild, employs you in some capacity, then some of that money, instead of getting sent to you, gets sent to the local lord, etc. It's pretty basic.
Okay, to the Lawmaster.
Okay, so you make your way.
Basically, yeah.
You make your way into this spire, and upon entry, it looks sort of like almost like a courthouse layout. You walk in, the floor is relatively well kept. There's a long rug that's blue, like a deep blue, running from one end of the hall to the other, and you see at the opposite end there are a number of doors, and there's several doors that line the walls. Yes, the floor is in fact lava. I need everyone to roll a dexterity check. No, I'm kidding.
Jump from tile to tile.
Yeah, jump from tile to tile. No.
Oh.
They, and along each wall, you see just a number. Whoop! I just dropped my notebook behind the camera because I wasn't holding it tight enough. Give me 1 second. And
I get +7 to dexterity saving throws.
Well, there you go. And you see on the rear wall, immediately to your left as you walk in, there's a spiral staircase, and in the very back corner, the back right-hand corner, there's a second spiral staircase. You look up, and you can see a small balcony in the center toward the rear of the room, but the rest of it is sort of closed off.
Is there anybody in here?
Yeah, there are probably a good 10-15 people just milling around. You see what appear to be merchants or some other upper class individuals interacting with either knights or the town guard, of which there is one member of the town guard in the room. Not too many of the lower classes appear to make their way up here, but yeah, it's pretty busy even this early in the morning.
So Prudence is pointing out the fancy office.
Prudence says, that looks fancy enough to be the Lawmaster's office.
We should head that way.
Okay. So you make your way toward the back of the room, sort of this entryway area following the blue carpet. There are 2 doors on either side. There's a right door and a left door.
We'll open the right door.
Okay. You open the right-hand door, and it opens into another hallway. You see a number of... again, it's a relatively long hallway. You see doors opening to either side, and at this point, if you look toward the back, you see it curve off to the side. Apparently, it hits the back of this spire and goes around. There's a knight standing just inside the door, and he kind of turns and... Hello, can I help you?
Oh, yes, excellent. Can you tell me where the Lawmaster is?
Oh, yeah. If you follow this hallway down, just around that corner there, you'll see a big redwood door. Just knock on there. They'll be able to help you out.
Thank you. I thoroughly appreciate the help.
Alrighty. So you...
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And he nods, and Rurik, as you walk past, he you see he takes note of the armor that you're wearing, and he just kind of gives you a respectful nod.
I nod in turn.
Okay. He seems satisfied by this interaction. Why can I not find... Oh well. Anyway. So you make your way toward this back area, and sure enough, just as you round the corner, most of these doors are made of like a simple pine or maybe an oak that have been stained and carved. You turn the corner, and redwood doesn't even begin to describe. It's almost like a bright, almost like a crimson red color that this wood is designed of. It doesn't appear to be unnatural or dyed in any way, but it is very bright and very visible. So. Prudence, as he's bringing up the rear, still keeping a respectful distance from Hoyd, says, "I think that's red."
Yes, it is red. So, I
know that color.
knock on the door.
I know.
Okay. As you knock on the door and it just kind of swings open, you take a second to look, and there is a handle, but it doesn't appear to have a latch of any kind, and you just kind of push the door open.
Okay.
And just on the inside, it looks like a lobby or a foyer of some kind. There's a bench on one side, and you see a desk at the rear side with an elf, a male elf, sitting behind the desk, just kind of scribbling something down on a piece of paper. As you open the door, he looks up. Yes, hello. Can I help you?
I assume you're the Lawmaster?
No, I will fetch him for you. He gets
Oh,
up,
thank you.
and he turns around. There's a door immediately behind him. He goes through the door. And a moment passes, and the door opens back up. The Lawmaster will see you now.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So do you all make your way in?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I will accompany.
I enter as well.
Okay. So I assume... Okay. Yeah, so everybody makes their way in. And when you come in the room, to say the room is eccentric sells it a little short. You see along the walls, there are a series of paintings of some kind of abstract nature. On the rear side, there is a very large stained glass window of some kind of iconographic design. In almost every inch of this place has some kind of a shelf or a stool, and they all have these little gadgets on them that are all whirring and ticking and making noise and moving around constantly. And it's quite distracting, actually, to be in this room.
That's a really nice office.
Thank ya! Coming from behind the desk, you see a gnome, actually. Little bit taller than you, Zook, but not by much. Red hair with a shock of white along one side, and a beard that comes down and it goes below the desk. Thank you, Vex. That'll be all. And he kind of points at the individual that led you in, and who just nods and leaves the room, closing the door behind you. So, Lawmaster Lindai, what can I do for you?
It's good to finally meet you, Lawmaster. My name is Lord Bartleby.
Finally, am I anticipated?
You are. I've been searching for you for some time now.
May I have a
Have
look
you?
at some of the gadgets? I'm not the one with the complaint.
Yeah, feel
What?
free.
Fine.
I do that then.
He says to you in Gnomish, "Go nuts." The equivalent of "go nuts." You can see a little sparkle in his eye as he says that.
I'm definitely gonna look at all the gadgets then.
Alrighty.
I respond to
Oh, that's right.
to the Lawmaster. That's. I don't know if that is wise.
Is this in Gnomish or in Common?
I know Gnomish, but can I speak Gnomish?
If you know the language, then you can speak it. Yes.
Okay. Now I will say it in Common.
You'll say
But
it in Common.
make it obvious that I understood him.
And he looks over to you, and kind of gives you a huh. Well, the worst that happens is he breaks it, and then I'll just fix it. Do it all the time. You can see in his hands he's actually fiddling with a small brass wire, just a wire that he's sort of wrapping into a little ball.
Yeah, gnomes are real good at fixing things.
So, Lord Bartleby, was it?
Yes, sir.
Well, Lord Bartleby of where? Can't say I've seen you around these parts.
Because I'm not from these parts.
From where does Lord Bartleby hail?
From farther up north. I'd rather not say if I don't have to. But I have an opportunity for you.
Farther up north. He gives you a keen look for a moment. You can see his expression sort of drops a little bit from this jovial gnome. And then it comes right back up. Well, that's all right. Everyone comes from somewhere, but
That we do. So, I have an opportunity for you.
An opportunity. Shoot.
But first, are we alone? Besides
Alone.
my party members.
Alone enough? He kind of looks around. There's nobody else in the room there with you immediately.
Okay. I trust you on this. This is a very delicate matter, so I'm going to ask for a very delicate favor.
Aye. His eyes kind of
Would
narrow
you
a
be
bit.
Would you mind if we cast Zone of Truth to ensure that everybody is honest?
His eyes kind of glance between each of you, and then they return back to you. Make a persuasion check.
It's his idea.
That's 11 plus 9, 20.
20. Okay.
Fine.
He gets and Lindai gets up from the desk and walks around, and it's it's actually amusing watching him get up from his chair, because when he gets up from his chair, he gets shorter by about a foot. So now Zook, he's about almost 6 inches shorter than you are. Comes around the desk.
It's odd. I'm not particularly tall, I don't think.
Not for a gnome, you're not, but neither is he. So he walks around the desk, puts his hand onto one of his small gadgets that's been making this little ping, 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 ping noise the whole time, and stops it. All right, if it's that important.
I believe it to be.
I've got no reason to lie to you, as long as you've got no reason to lie to me, yeah?
Excellent. That's how I hoped it would be. Rurik, if you wouldn't mind.
So isn't it like a zone of truth?
Yeah, the name
Or
of the
just like-
spell is Zone of Truth.
So like it's a whole zone.
Mm-hmm. In a 15-foot sphere centered on a point of Rurik's choice within range.
So it means you can't lie either.
Nope.
Unless you succeed on the charisma saving throw.
Yep.
Is it your intention to be engulfed in it as well?
It is. As a show of faith.
Fair enough.
And 1 second, I gotta get a cable.
I am very curious how this is going to unfold, what with Hoyd using a false name, but I'm not going to say anything.
I'm actually really curious to see how this goes too. All right.
Okay.
I shall acquiesce and cast Zone of Truth centered on a point that would engulf everyone in the room,
Okay.
assuming everyone is within 15 feet of each other.
Yeah, the room itself is fairly small. It's actually pretty cramped with all of you in there. It's maybe 15 feet across. So a 15-foot radius will easily... Because that's 30 feet in diameter, so that'll easily encompass the entire room. What is your spell save DC?
15.
15. Okay. Good to know.
Alright, what did I miss? Spell DC?
Wait, is everyone going to roll charisma?
I'll say this. If you would like to roll now against his spell save DC, because you are now starting, quote-unquote, starting your turn in the zone, you make a charisma saving throw. When you fail, you can't speak a deliberate lie within the radius. Rurik, you do know whether each creature succeeds or fails.
Right.
So you do know that Zook and Prudence both succeeded.
Charisma check?
You do note that the Lawmaster does fail. But no one other than Rurik knows unless he tells other people. Hoyd fails.
Oh!
Shit.
Shigun fails.
Ah.
So you are aware of these. You don't know whether they... I'll say you know because you saw them roll as a player, but you don't know whether they chose to fail, because you can choose to fail this if you'd like. You don't know whether that happened or not, you only know the results.
I chose to fail this one.
Well, you did say it was a show of faith.
You can't say a deliberate lie within the zone.
You know what? For fun, I'm also going to choose to fail.
Okay. So you know that everyone except Prudence has failed the saving throw and is under the influence of the zone.
I would like to thank you for acquiescing to our request. I assure you that the endeavor it pertains to is most dire. Bartleby, if you would, please.
It better be. Not particularly fond of having... he kind of stops and has difficulty phrasing his next couple of words. I don't like that. Don't like that one bit. Prudence says, Rurik, who's affected by the spell at the moment? Which, by the way, Rurik, I believe you are also a part of this, so you can either choose to fail or you can roll.
Oh, I wasn't actually sure if it affected the caster or not.
If you're in the zone, yep.
Ah, fair enough.
That's everyone always forgets, like, Fireball. Yes, Fireball will affect you. Silence
Well,
will
yes.
affect you.
Yes, yes.
We've explored that one at length.
So you can
Well,
either
not
roll
at much
or-
distance.
I will,
You can either roll, you can choose to fail. Bear in mind, the spell does not compel you to speak. If you wish to say a lie, you can simply say nothing. It just compels you, if you do speak, you have to speak a truth.
I will also choose to fail.
Okay. Prudence kind of pipes up from behind you. So, who's affected by the spell currently?
Currently everyone except you.
I just realized the reflection is of me walking back and forth is visible, so I'm going to just put that there.
Yeah.
Prudence says, excellent. Carry on. And he just kind of...
That means you can keep quiet with no ill consequence.
I mean, anyone can keep quiet with no ill consequence, but yeah.
This is true, but that's not why we're here. We're here to discuss a very delicate matter.
So, what is this very delicate matter, Lord Bartleby, that you wished to speak to me with, and you decided to cast a spell on me to do so?
I did, and first of all, as a show of faith, I am not Lord Bartleby.
I don't know why you bothered to go to call yourself that.
I did. It wasn't for him. It was for everyone else.
doesn't-
My name is Hoyd.
Hoyd. Hoyd of...
Also the North. I didn't lie about that.
Fair point.
Why do they know?
Right. However, I'm sure you have noticed cloaked individuals around your town, around your city.
I have. They're
Yes, and I disregard your opinion.
Prudence says, I prefer the false name if you'd like my opinion.
Seeing as I can't lie, you're welcome.
Yes, we've heard reports of these robed individuals going about town. We've had a couple of people ask about them, but we don't have any laws against people proselytizing in the streets.
What if they were planning a revolution against you?
Why would they do
I
that?
don't know that they are. But they do seem to be worshipping some kind of demon, and that seems like a bad thing.
Oh, but they were. We went to one of their meetings, and we discovered what they're really trying to do.
I must have forgot that part.
Which, as you say this, Lindai is struggling to. You can see he's fighting with his politician's instinct to speak platitudes.
This is the no spin zone.
Sir, we're within a zone of truth. Speak freely. I've given you one of my secrets.
You do realize how difficult that is for a individual of my position.
If Hoyd leaks this, I will kill him.
You
if
try to kill me.
Bad,
he looks over to you. He looks over to you. Doesn't turn his body, but he looks over to you with his eyes, and just kind of raises an eyebrow. He takes the. He takes it's almost like a metronome type thing that he had stopped. Takes that and just starts fiddling with it, and you can hear every couple of seconds a small like click, click. The mandate we are given by the crown is to allow people to worship who they see fit, so long as they are not harming other people. Has this cult, as you call it, harmed anyone?
As of yet, we don't know.
I see.
Do they plan to harm anyone?
They absolutely plan to harm people.
How do they plan to harm us?
Is that disallowed?
They plan to overthrow the status quo by using an unnatural magic, an old magic.
Does that involve harming people?
The way they described it, it does.
As you two are having this exchange, the Lawmaster's just kind of, his eyes are going back and forth between you two. So you're saying that these people are looking to disrupt our society. I've got a bit of an echo. I don't know from whom, but are looking to disrupt our society for what? Why? Why would they be doing this? I mean, all religions want people to worship their true God.
This is true.
How is this different from any other? How is this different than the Bara, the St. Cuthbert priest that we have living right outside our doors?
I think they want absolute power and they want to take it by force.
I'm inclined to believe him. Also, I'm inclined to believe that the deity they worship is not being faithful to them.
Prudence kind of mumbles.
I don't know what that
guys.
means.
Prudence mumbles behind you guys. We should have rehearsed this.
We should have, of course we have. But we're being truthful.
We did not make a script or anything.
I'm sorry, Zook. What was your question? You had something and I didn't hear it.
I don't know what Hoyd means by the deity being faithful to the people or whatever.
They
I
worship
don't know what that is.
Baphomet.
Baphomet.
Yes.
might
Surely you
tell-
know who Baphomet is.
You can see, again, he's struggling. Can't say that I am.
Rurik, would you mind enlightening him?
He is not enjoying this.
Seeing a politician squirm under this spell is funny.
And as you sort of change focus of the conversation over to Rurik, he reaches underneath one of the tables and pulls out a small flask, opens it, and takes a swig out of it. Prudence says, in addition, they claimed they want to rest... Sorry, go ahead.
I wish I was a rock gnome. I could build something for you as a gift.
Prudence says, in addition, they claimed that they want to wrest magic away from the gods. And as you say this, he turns to look at you and looks you up and down.
I heard this too.
From where do you get your magic?
Who's this aimed at?
This is speaking to Prudence. I didn't do the accent. From where do you get your magic? As this is going on, Zook, just while we're waiting for Prudence to type out his response, you are taking a look at some of the devices. I'll repeat that in a moment. You are looking at some of the devices. Most of them have no discernible purpose. They're just kind of clockwork, arranged in ways that are interesting or fun to look at. There's a couple of wind-up dolls here and there. One of the devices is I forget what they're called, but like one of those pseudo perpetual motion machines where it's like swinging back the circles that are swinging back and forth. None of them seem to have any real like purpose to them, but they're all, from your understanding of gnomish engineering, they're all very interesting pieces of engineering. They just don't have a purpose. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Prudence says, "Not from the gods. I'm a wizard." He kind of says as he scratches Deer's the side of Deer's head. He says, "Yes. So, magic's not exactly coming from the gods all the time now, is it?"
I don't see how this is relevant.
It's not a Newton's Cradle. I'll look up the name. But yeah, it's he doesn't seem particularly impressed with the idea of pulling magic away from the gods. He seems to be aware that magic outside the divine does exist.
Rurik, how do you get your magic?
I obtain my magic from a force that directly opposes Baphomet.
And who is this force?
I derive my magic of the divine from his Radiance Palor.
Who is divine, correct?
Yes.
So it would follow that the gods do themselves have magic.
Kinetic art, that's the word. Sorry, go on.
Oh, kinetic art's cool.
It is.
Don't let me interrupt though. Go ahead.
Yes, the gods most certainly manifest themselves and their magic. And through our own endeavors, we can channel it ourselves.
Prudence pipes up.
So it would be
I just have a
very
quick question.
bad.
I just have a quick question. Are you with the cultists we're discussing, or do you otherwise worship Baphomet?
Oh, right.
No.
We should have gotten that out way at the beginning. We are not part of the cult, and the Zone of Truth is make sure you are also not part of the cult.
Lindai kind of looks at you like, no, of course not. These people just started showing up about 3 weeks ago. I don't know anything about them.
Is that recent? Only 3 weeks.
Yeah, we haven't heard any complaint. I mean, we first heard about them 3 weeks ago. I don't know if they've been here longer, but we haven't heard any complaints about them or anything. So I don't know. It's they seem harmless enough.
Okay.
I can assure you that they are not, as you say, harmless.
They sound pretty skilled at controlling the narrative.
Prudence says, I mean, no offense. Thanks for responding gracefully to my question. You can see there's a small... The effort of having to pick his words is taking a little bit of a strain. You see a small bead of sweat start to run down the side of his head.
I can almost guarantee this will be the weirdest thing to happen to you today.
I certainly
If
hope
not already.
so.
So, back to the reason why we came to you. We felt we should come to you versus the city guard because this may not be localized just here. It may be larger in the countryside in other cities.
Do you have any evidence of this?
Not yet. But he said there are other cells elsewhere.
Who is he?
The speaker that we ran into last night. I told you, we
leader.
visited them.
I spoke with the lead speaker directly during one of their meetings. We were able to infiltrate one of their meetings last night.
Were you? And what did this leader say?
Well, he was spouting a lot of nonsense about some sort of energy or something. But he did mention having locations, other locations with other cultists.
I see. Prudence says, Rurik, can you recount the message you got from your own god?
I can. Would you want me to?
I believe that's why I asked you.
I think it's a good idea. If you agree, then please do.
Are you referring to the original one or a more recent one?
There were two of them?
The one that urged you to investigate the cultists. You can now see the Lawmaster has directed his full attention towards you, Rurik.
Okay. Sorry, I had to look through my notes a little bit. Yes. I have been spoken to a number of times by my deity Palor, and he has addressed me directly regarding these followers of Baphomet, and he has deigned to refer to them as explicitly evil.
So they're an evil cult?
Oh, of course they are.
Well, at least they go great lengths to look the part.
For a little bit of clarification, since you seemed unfamiliar with Baphomet, he is a demonic, fiendish deity that is a representation of evil, and we most certainly should do all we can to prevent his machinations from coming about.
I see. These individuals, you say they had influence, they had groups elsewhere, not just here in Bren?
Correct. And at the meeting, they had at least 2 noblemen in the ranks. Don't know who they were.
to noblemen, you say? Oh, you
Well-
didn't gather who they were.
I didn't gather who they were, but they're gaining power is my point.
They are gaining power to do this. You say overthrowing the status quo?
Exactly. But we have a plan.
A plan to do what? You can see now he's returned to his desk and he takes out a small piece of parchment and starts writing small notes in it.
A plan to either expose or remove the cultists from your city.
I see.
However, we will need your help in this plan.
He pauses in his writing. Help to do what?
Collection. We'll need you to process all these people that we find.
He moves and he walks past all of you, opens the door. By the way, I didn't mention Rurik because he wasn't in the room. The Vec, who had left the room, did also fail. He was within the zone. His desk is within the zone, but he also did fail.
Oh, okay.
And he is aware of that because everyone who's in the zone of truth is aware that they're in a zone of truth.
Right.
Opens the door. Beck, can you get stops the thing for a second? Can you get Lucian? Yeah, bring Lucian to me. Vec. I don't know where he. Can you get him, please? It's important. At once. And kind of closes the door. I've summoned the captain of the guard. He should be able to help you if what you're saying is as truthful as it needs to be.
I can assure you it's absolutely as truthful as it's going to be.
He kind of looks at you with like an oh honey kind of look, like,
Oh.
I'm sure you're aware that people are capable of saying one thing and meaning another. For example, I don't like dwarves. That sounds
Okay.
awful, doesn't it? But what I mean is, the dwarves in this city have been wonderful to us, but a certain group of them have been causing trouble. So, people can often make their way around these things if you're careful enough.
Yes, this is very true.
Do not like this magic at all.
I agree. I also do not like this magic.
But you have to be careful.
For example, I think Zook is a phenomenal entertainer.
Who's Zook? He kind of looks over to you, Zook. I assume.
We're in a zone of truth, and I somehow still don't believe you.
He. Lindai chuckles a bit as well. I mean,
That might be the best joke ever.
can't be a lie, technically. Prudence
You need to get better at sounding convincing.
says, we're lucky to have you here, Lawmaster. You have a way with words, and you surely will know the correct questions to ask. I appreciate that. Tiefling. I'm sorry, your name?
I do really wish that...
I introduced myself earlier. My name is Prudence.
I do rather wish that we could get this over as soon as we can. This is clearly distressing you.
Prudence, right, Prudence. Prudence, is that your real name? Or is that just like... Because I know sometimes people take on names that are more familiar. You start to see a little bit of his, You see the look on his face, like, you can tell he's not deliberately trying to be offensive. But you're a tiefling, so... Is this the first time
Tieflings have
you've
weird
seen a
names just
tiefling?
as gnomes have weird names.
I think tieflings have wonderful names.
This isn't the first time I've seen one, no. It's the first time I've seen one that I haven't needed to adjudicate. They all choose names as children, representing virtues they like to follow. I see. And that's Prudence is your chosen virtue, then. Alright, well, you learn something new every day, I guess. He opens the door to his office again. Vec! Oh! And the door actually bumps into Vec as he's opening it. Yes! I've retrieved Lucian for you. He was asleep, but you hear from behind. Oi! Ugh! What do you need me for?
What time of day is it?
It's early morning. Not early morning, it's like mid-morning.
Okay.
I've got people here that I think you probably want to see. They're talking about some kind of cult. Oh, we're talking about the Red Cloaks. All right.
Yes, we are.
Let's hear it. And as he walks into the room, he succeeds against the Zone of Truth. Just for Rurik's sake.
Ooh.
Oh,
No, he doesn't.
Okay, yeah. So you push the one on him. Yeah. So I'll allow that because like I probably rolled before you finished typing, so that's fine. You push the one on him, so he fails walking into the Zone of Truth, and when he walks into the room, he takes one step into the room. You can see he's got a very like tactical, analytic mind. Scans the room and sees everyone that's there, closes the door behind him, and stands against the door. So,
There's no need to be afraid. We're all friends here.
you say that, and yet it seems that who's doing this?
Really need to be better at sounding honest.
Who's doing this?
Who's doing this? Our friend Dwarf here.
Prudence points at
Prudence points at me. I am not doing
points
this.
at you, and you point at Rurik.
Spider-Man me.
So who's doing this?
Boyd is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
We have cast a Zone of Truth with the permission of the Lawmaster.
It's true they did. So,
And I apologize for this having to come to pass, but our circumstances have deemed it necessary, and we do have permission.
so talking about the Red Cloaks around the city. I haven't heard
Yes,
much
we are.
about them. Some people get annoyed by them, but I mean, no more so than any other beggar or anything else. But
So, I have an important question to ask you before we begin.
yes.
Are you with the cult?
He kind of looks. If he had glasses, he'd be looking over his glasses. He looks down his nose at you. He's a little bit taller than you, pretty broad-shouldered, blonde hair, green eyes, human. Do you think I'd be in this Do you think I'd be in this position if I associated myself with individuals that decided to keep company with cults?
Okay, I will
Do you
rephrase
think
that.
we'd be able to sneak into their meeting if we weren't cautious? We need you to answer the question. I'm very sorry.
Do you follow the cult of Baphomet here in town?
I don't know who that is. Prudence says you have to ask questions carefully.
Are you with the Red Cloaks?
No. Gods, no. They're, if anything else, they're kind of a pain in our ass. They don't do anything that's against the law, but they do get in the way. But why?
So you have no grounds.
I think
to
that
do
should
anything.
suffice.
Okay. I'll take it. We have a plan I was discussing with the Lawmaster to either identify them or remove them from your city.
First, explain why this course of action is needed. This man was not present during that part of the discussion.
He looks expectantly toward you, Hoyd.
One sec. So, we have visited one of their meetings last night, and we discovered a great deal about them. They plan to overthrow the status quo using older magic, not arcane, not divine.
Status quo meaning the kingdom.
Correct. We thought that was a risk to your order.
And everyone else.
You're not wrong. How do they plan on doing this exactly? They must have some sort of...
Why, they have a demon.
Excuse me?
The demon lord Baphomet. That's who they follow.
Yeah, he rolled a 1 on his religion check, so...
So
Quite
did
powerful
I.
of some renown, I'm given to understand.
Again, Rurik, would you mind?
Why does nobody know who Baphomet is?
It's almost like the specific nuances of the war of good versus evil are lost upon the common rabble or something.
So it would seem, at this point, by the end of all this, I'm going to seem like a devout follower of Baphomet.
Just
As you say that, you can see he sort of leans a little bit more heavily against the door and gives you a sort of sidelong look, Rurik.
he is not. He is a follower of Paylor,
Yes, I follow Paylor.
a sworn enemy of Baphomet. I'm given to understand.
I've just had to explain Baphomet a number of times that would make it seem as though I follow him. He is a
Well,
A
knowing your
demonic
enemy is the
fiendish
first
entity.
step. G.I.
touche. Very well said. Baphomet is a fiendish demonic entity that is, best as I am aware, a pure embodiment of evil, and in direct opposition to the deity Paylor, whom I follow.
I see. And you say he's doing what? What is this Baphomet doing? Trying to take over Sundi?
Eventually.
As made clear as we can follow from his followers, the Red Cloaks, he seeks they seek the abolishment of godly and or divine magic in such a way that would bring ruin to the world.
What do they have to gain?
Not
from
meaning
this?
to make it illegal, meaning to exterminate it.
What do they possibly have to gain from this?
Equality.
He means power.
Well, some are more equal than others.
That's what I mean by power.
Alright, Starlight.
You're welcome.
God damn it, now I'm gonna have to make a stat block for her later. Anyway,
The DM is kidding.
and we're in a zone
I don't
of
think
truth.
so.
So, what
The DM did not make a roll for the zone of truth.
the DM can choose to fail. Regardless,
The DM can also choose to succeed.
regardless, as
So
Lindai kind of pipes up to this point. It says they seem to be worried about something. I haven't heard anything about these guys. We haven't had any complaint. At least I haven't had any complaints directed to me. Have you heard anything about them? And Lucian pauses for a moment. We haven't. I mean, we've had some people ask us to remove them, but they do leave when we ask them to leave. So it's not. They don't seem to be challenging our authority.
They seem to be particularly proficient at evading, at remaining inconspicuous.
You can't exactly stay inconspicuous if you're wearing the same uniform.
which I plan to use against them.
If not,
How's that?
I'm trying to set 2 effects for the block.
Sure. Yeah, Prudence, roll an insight check. With advantage, because you're in the zone of truth. Or you can make yourselves 16. Okay. Again, he is also choosing his words carefully. He seems honest. You do sense, you're not sure what exactly it is about the way he's speaking that gives you this sense, but you do get a sense in the back of your head that something about what he's saying is not the whole story. You're not sure exactly why you're getting this sense, though. Okay. So Prudence interrupts. What are you hiding from us? Hiding? I don't understand.
Prudence, what is this about?
I do have to break. This is not me saying anything in particular, but I do have to break up the music every 30 seconds to make sure I don't get content flagged, so.
Really?
This is
That's
music
silly.
from a copyrighted source, so thanks YouTube.
Yay.
Well, maybe you should change the soundtrack to just be like.
I do have
Like-
royalty-free music in here. It's just not all.
No, but like the sort of royalty-free music that's cheesy and used everywhere.
Like generic fantasy.
No, like just generic marble race for royalty-free music.
Oh no. You're wording your answers carefully so that you don't completely answer them. That implies you do not want us to know something about your actions or motivation. Lucian.
That is fair.
Lucian kind of leans in a little bit in your direction.
Very
Half-truth-
astute, Prudence.
Half-truths are the way to deal with a zone of truth, especially when you can't overpower it through force of will alone. And knowing you,
Classic
Prudence, I'm going to bet he hasn't.
All of you watch as his arms are crossed as he's leaning against the door. His right arm comes down and rests on the hilt of his sword.
I go to step behind him, gingerly against the door.
There is no behind him. He's not leaning away from the door.
So he's against the door? It's closed, though.
It is closed. He's up against the door. He hasn't made
Okay.
any actively aggressive motion, but he is
Okay.
moving his hand to the hilt of his sword, and you will take that how you will.
So I look at the
Prudence as
Lawmaster.
Speak up. What are you hiding from us? The Lawmaster, who up until this point had been writing things down onto a parchment, and you glancing down don't recognize the language that's being written. He looks up to Lucian and Hoyd, because you're looking at him. You see the color start to drain from his face slightly. And
Do you see the reason why we needed to do this?
And he's
If it's something,
you see him.
if it's something
slowly
irrelevant
shake
to
his
the
head.
culprit, if it's something irrelevant to the cult business, like if you're having an affair or something, I promise that information does not leave this room.
Lucian, do you have something you'd like to tell us? He kind of takes a deep breath. I have duties that I need to return to. Lucian, you were asleep.
I will not accept that answer.
He kind of scans the room. Okay. I've accepted 5,000 gold pieces for them to leave them alone.
That is not a small sum.
It isn't.
And, Lindai stops writing entirely, puts the quill down, turns. So you've admitted to bribery then?
Treats.
You can see Lucian is struggling with his words and doesn't say anything in response.
That is better than membership.
Agreed. We can still work with this.
And the rest of you see Prudence, I didn't catch that line. When did you say that? When do you want to slip that line in? I didn't actually catch when you saw it because I was looking away. The rest of you watch. You can see his jaw is clenching. You can see the muscle working at the corner of his jaw. Let's not tell anyone about the bribery right now, says Prudence. We all promised not to tell about it. He looks over toward Zook. And
Things like that can be swept under many rugs.
And Lindai says, well, I didn't promise. Lucian, I've known you for how many? How long? How long have you been working for me? 17 years, sir. And in 17 years, how many bribes have you taken? 3, sir. I see. Return to your chambers. If you would not mind sending me... if you would not mind sending me Giral, please. Assuming he is not also taken in with these... No, Giral's not involved. You can... If he's done anything, it's not involving me. Good. Excellent. Send for him, please. Return to your quarters. Stay there. You can see Lucian's grip kind of tightens on his sword slightly.
If I may, would you like me to assist in that command?
There's no need. I will return to my quarters, says Lucian. Excellent.
And stay there?
He's been given an order from his boss.
He's already proven to ignore the orders before.
He doesn't respond. Lucian doesn't respond.
I have very good reason to believe that if he does not, that if he ignores this one, he's going to be fired on the spot, possibly jailed. You don't need to put this man under extra pressure.
That's up to the Lawmaster, isn't it?
Yes, and not you.
Lindai clasps his hands behind his back and walks up to Lucian, which is a comical sight. Lucian is 6 foot, God knows, he's almost pushing 7 feet. He's a very tall person, and you can see he is fighting with every inch of his being to maintain his composure. Lindai walks right up to him. He's about maybe a foot away. He's almost looking directly upward at him. He says, Lucian, you are stripped of your rank and title. Return to your room. We will discuss this later. If you leave, I will order the Knights of Bren to kill you. Do you understand? Lucian. You can see Lucian's hand relaxes slightly. It's still on the pommel of his sword, but it relaxes. He's not looking down, he's looking straight ahead. Yes, sir. Lucian, he kind of reaches up and it's comical. If this were a gnome, he'd be patting him on the shoulder, but he can't reach that high, so he's like patting him on the thigh. You can hear the clank of his armor rather. I don't intend to imprison you, but this can't stand. I understand, sir. Return to your quarters. Yes, sir. Lucian, what's his name? Sorry. Lindai takes a step back to allow Lucian to open the door. Lucian opens the door and makes his way out of the chambers. And when the door is open, Lindai calls out, Beck, see that Captain Lucian makes his way to his quarters. And Vec, as you wish, sir. And they exit the space. The door closes behind Lucian. Well, Lindai, it seems that these individuals are somewhat more of a threat than I initially thought. Tell me of your plan again. Give me all of the details, please. You gave me the short version before. I'd rather not have the short version if I'm going to ask my guards not to interfere.
Of course, sir.
By the way, I hope that how you run your department is none of my business, but if I may interject with my opinion, I hope that you did not just completely fire this man, because in that case, then he might be inclined to join the Hoods instead.
Prudence did say something, by the way.
Yes, he did. Prudence says, I do wish you'd be lenient with him. He's told the truth, and that's a very important thing to do, even if he's been forced to do so. And Prudence sort of nods at Zook with a little, The Lawmaster looks over toward you, Zook. Well, 17 years, 3 bribes. He holds up 3 fingers. That's a pretty good record, don't you think? I'm not gonna fire him. I'm gonna let him sit and stew and wait for him and let him wait for me to fire him. I'm not gonna fire him. He's a good fighter. He's a good guard captain. I just want him to worry a bit.
I understand.
He looks over to, glances over towards Shigun, who until this point has been fairly silent. You understand that we have to make sure that our rank and file stays their place, yeah?
Of course.
All right.
Might be a tad excessive, but I do understand where you're coming from. I wouldn't do it myself, but you make a valid point.
Prudence says he does seem somewhat reliable, even if this is a big offense. I'm glad you're an understanding Lawmaster. Now, kind of claps his hands together. The plan. Aye, the plan.
Yes, of course, the plan.
The heist.
Lindai runs back to the table, takes the paper that he had been scribbling, the parchment he'd been scribbling on, crumples it up, throws it to one side, and takes out a fresh parchment. Now, you should know that I'm going to be watching you from here on out. I just want to put that on the table so that nobody's surprised when the guards are, well, they're not the most stealthy of individuals, are around and just making sure that things are going according to your plan.
That's exactly what I was hoping for.
I understand that this was part of our plan.
Good. Now tell me of your plan, and I will tell you what I don't like about it, and we'll work it out. Aye?
Okay.
He takes another swig from his flask.
So, I had a moment of genius.
At this point, how long does Zone of Truth last? Last 10 minutes, I think?
It's a 10-minute spell, yes.
10-minute spell. I would say most of you don't know this because most of you don't actually know the spell Zone of Truth. Rurik, you are aware that the effective time of Zone of Truth is starting to come to its end. It's not done yet, but it's going to end fairly soon. Just something for you to be aware of.
And none of us.
Do people affected by it know it ends?
They do, because they know they're affected by it, which means they would know them when they're no longer affected by it.
But you know exactly when, whereas we kind of just feel it.
Yeah, like they'll find out. Everybody else will find out when they feel the magic pressure on their minds drop away. You, having the knowledge that you do about this spell, do know, I'd say roughly, within the next 1 to 2 minutes, that the spell's about to end. Spellcasting is not a perfect science.
Right.
As much as the chemist in you would like to be.
I turn to the Lawmaster with a rather grave expression. Do we have your full cooperation on this endeavor?
I will do everything I can to make sure that my people are protected. It's my job.
Boy, does that satisfy?
That's close.
I figured that's about as much as we're likely to get.
That is probably the most likely we're going to get.
And it's
What I
more
would
than
like to do-
satisfactory. His people are of the town.
They are.
Our goals
However,
overlap a fair bit.
You
cultists are also part of the town.
You hear Lindai kind of like break over all of you. City!
Village?
The cultists are not his people. In either case.
But they are. And that's where the
Clearly
problem
got our
is.
back.
So, my plan involves the children of the city.
I don't know if I like where this is going, but go on.
I intend to have them help us identify who the members of the cult are. Because they won't lie to us.
Are you sure about that? Sorry, Prudence, you had a mechanics question. Can you use your portent to replace half of an advantage, or does it? So, the problem with portent... So, not problem. The way portent works, portent replaces the entire roll. So if you have advantage or disadvantage on a roll, it doesn't matter. Portent replaces the result of that roll. So for example, if you have disadvantage and you roll a 10 and an 8, you take an 8, but if the portent is a 15, you replace that 8 with a 15, that's the result. Mechanically, that's how portents are designed to work. They don't replace one roll of a roll, so like if you use luck, you can't use luck and a portent at the same time, for example. The portent just outright replaces the roll entirely. So,
good to know.
Just for future reference, that's how portent is intended to work anyway.
That is important. No.
Rurik, if you could make a Constitution saving throw, please. No, I'm kidding. Oh my god. So,
What? Wait, did someone make a pun and I missed it?
yes, he did. And he's not going to
Not
repeat it, is
again!
he?
This keeps happening. I keep missing puns.
Sorry. Go ahead. On with your description.
Okay. So, I intend to tell the children of the city a story, compelling them to identify the members of the cult.
Magically compelling?
Not generally, no.
I don't know if I like that answer.
The core of it? No, not at all. I'm telling an honest story.
I see.
Children, most of them anyway, have not yet learned to lie.
My entertainment does have a magic component to it.
So
That's
you're
because
going
he's
to
a
be,
bard.
so you're
It's
going
the
to be
art of the
casting,
bard.
So you're going to be casting a spell on the children of my people.
Would you prefer that I don't?
For the record, I never thought this was a good plan.
We're going to be keeping a very close eye on you, Mr. Hoyd, formerly Lord Bumblesworth.
Formerly Lord what?
I forgot the
It's-
name.
I know you did.
Bartleby, I think.
It's
I
Bartleby.
thought you said Lord Bumblebee.
I
No.
thought you said Barbosa.
Bumblesworth is from the other campaign. I
Bumblesworth?
straight up forgot the name.
I love that name, Bumblesworth.
But yeah, so
Bumblesworth.
this is me as the DM not writing down what your secret code name is.
Right.
Formerly Lord Bartleby, now Hoyd. You should know that if we hear one complaint, we're coming for you. We're going to stop you. I don't want you to be a worse threat to this town than they are.
I'm not sure how much solace it would bring you, but
And
on
the rest
my
of you,
honor as a devotee of Palor, I guarantee that no harm will come to these children.
Oh, I can guarantee no harm will come to them.
Yes, but I feel you might believe the word of someone backed by the divine than, well, you.
As Rurik is saying this, the rest of you feel the zone of truth fade from your minds. And Rurik, you are aware that the zone of truth has ended.
Yes.
I feel so much better. Zook, I really like your entertainer.
Lindai, you can
Okay,
see you can see Lindai puts like a hand up to his temple and rubs it for a moment. He doesn't say
I regret I
anything, he
hadn't
just-
mentioned this earlier. But I will do my utmost to make sure that no spells are cast upon the children.
The Lindai looks between you and Hoyd, and over to Rurik, and back to you. He doesn't say anything. That's where his eyes go. What do you need from me?
So, the point of the story that I'm going to tell the children. They will be throwing these red cloaks out into the street. That is your marker.
To...
Knock on the door. Investigate who these people are.
I see. He's writing down on his little parchment now. None of you... actually, no. Rurik and Zook, you recognize he is writing in Gnomish, and he's more or less copying down what's being said.
I figured he was writing in English.
There's a couple of, deviances here and there based on the way the language of Gnomish works, but more or less it's what's being said. It's a transcription of what's being said. Well, when do you intend to start this plan?
I intend for the cloaks to appear later on tonight, after dinner, before bed, after bed. I'm still working on the fine detail there.
I see. And
I intend to tell the story midday, and tell all the children to disperse, tell their friends, but not their parents.
And you're sure they're gonna do that? I mean, children are not necessarily... At this point, there's a knock on the door. Lawmaster, Giral is here to see you. Yes, send him in. The door opens, and a willowy elf walks into the room. He's wearing a set of dark leather armor. In very stark contrast to Lucian previously, Giral is probably about 4 feet at the absolute most. Very short, but very thin. Could probably pass for a halfling if he tried. And he walks into the room. Yes, Lindai. You sent for me. What do you want with me? Draw. Yes, thank you. Well, Lucian is going to be indisposed for the next, say 2-3 days. I'm going to send him somewhere. It's not your concern, but I do want you to work with this fellow here. He kind of nods over toward Hoyd. Hoyd here. Sorry. Rewind about a minute. Prudence says, children are unreliable, but not entirely. They'll still have moderate success if the plan goes uninterrupted. Coming back forward. Giral, he says to Giral, you're gonna work with this Mr. Hoyd here, who apparently has found some sort of a threat in the Red Cloaks, as apparently you have taken to calling them. If you could help him in any way that is legal, that would be a very good help to me, and it would look good for you, if you take my meaning. Giral. Okay. He turns to Hoyd. You say that you were trying to take down the red coats? Red
Of course it was.
Red cloaks.
Yes, all of that.
Gotta get my terms correct here.
The red coats are coming.
Prudence says, "Oh, is it time to repeat the plan a 4th time?" And Giral turns to you, almost does a double take, but like you can see he's resisting the urge to do so. I will do what Lindai needs me to do. Lindai, does this Void have the authority to do what he wants to do? The Lawmaster. The Lawmaster takes the parchment that he's been writing on and holds it out to Giral. This is the plan that I've been given. This is the plan that they're going to do. He looks very closely at Hoyd. This is the plan that they're going to do.
Of course it is.
I thought we were revising it.
Are we?
I'm sorry, to what?
Like, are we revising the plan, or are we just telling him about, like, hey, here's the stuff we're gonna do, hope you're okay with it?
Gerald takes the parchment and kind of skims over it and hands it back to Lindai. Lindai, I don't speak this language. Lindai kind of puts his fingers up to the bridge of his nose and goes, "Oh, right. Fine." He takes another parchment and starts copying out, and Rurik and Zook, you see he's copying what's in Gnomish back into Common.
Lawmaster, if you wouldn't mind.
He says as he's writing.
This is the plan as we intend. Improvisation is part of the act.
He pauses writing, looks up to Gerald. Gerald kind of nods uncertainly, and then he resumes writing.
Will that suffice?
As he finishes copying, he hands the plan, the paper parchment to Gerald. Gerald skims it over. If this has your approval, and Lindai gives a nod. Very well, Mr. Hoyd. Shall we? He kind of directs. He motions toward the door.
I assume we have your permission?
I follow the will of the Lawmaster.
Okay, then we should go. I thank you for your time, sir.
Aye. And, if anything changes, you be sure to let me know. I gotta keep tabs on the workings of the city, and this folk here, kind of points over to Gerald. They're good at their jobs, but they're not the fastest at telling me things, so...
Okay, so, on to the next step.
Several of us have access to magic which allows us to send messages telepathically. Would you allow us to update you that way?
Lindai...
What's the range on sending? Or message?
I was gonna say, sending is anywhere. It can be a different
Right,
plane of
message.
existence. Message is 100 feet, I think? Or is it 1,000 feet?
120.
Sending.
It's 120 feet. Yeah. So sending message is 120 feet. Rurik, you have sending. Sending is anywhere in the known universe, including other planes. There is a chance of it failing if it goes to another plane, but that's neither here nor there, so...
Well, it's there, technically, but not here.
Wow. Wow.
Go to bed. Well...
We've already had a long rest.
God damn it, you guys. If that's how you choose to tell me, then that's how you choose to tell me. I think at this point I'll recognize your voices, but, yeah, that's, I'm not opposed to it, just don't go fucking around up there instead, alright?
What language?
Do your best do your best and figure it out.
He's had a long day.
Is it noon yet?
He's had a long day.
It's
He's
It's-
going to have a longer day, okay?
Just getting to noon-ish now. I mean, you can't get an exact figure because none of you own a watch or have the keen mind feat, but...
He's about to have a longer day, is my point.
Yeah, but it's already been pretty long, so, you know.
So, what will you need, Hoyd? Oop, my headset doesn't like that one bit.
No, it does not.
Oh, it sure doesn't.
So,
So as Jaral opens the door and sort of motions you out of the office.
So I follow him out of the office. So I assume that you will help me get what I need for this plan to work?
If what you need is within the purview of this document, then yes.
Excellent.
I assume the rest of you leave the room as well.
I actually have a quick thing.
Okay. So you hang back with the rest of the group, or as the rest of the group leaves, you hang back a bit.
I address Lindai. I'm terribly sorry for having to put you through that the spell endeavor. I appreciate your cooperation.
Yeah. Well, I agreed to it. I can't take that back now, can I?
Yeah.
Now get the fuck out of my office.
As you wish. And I turn and briskly make my way out of his office.
I imagine we all do.
Thank you, sir,
Alrighty.
for your time.
I'm chuckling audibly next to Prudence.
Not bad.
Yeah, Prudence says, I had a great time in the Zone of Truth, and I can't wait to be in another again.
Oh, I bet you
Ah.
did.
I dropped the phone.
That was wonderful. I never felt so free.
Just getting all your lies out now, aren't you? So,
You sure you don't want to tell Zook one more time how much you love his entertainment?
Stop. No, do not. We're not doing this.
Miss,
I'm sorry.
you can see Jaral is stumbling over himself as you talk over him. Mr. Hoyd, what do you need from us?
So, the next part of the plan, I intend to gather the children of the city and tell them a compelling story. What I need from you is to make sure that my story isn't interrupted by any adults or any members of the cult. We don't know who they are.
You can see he's visibly uncomfortable with this plan.
Well, what's uncomfortable about the plan?
We're both traveling entertainers, and we are going to have a performance.
Indeed we are.
Zook, actually. Make a persuasion check with advantage. I'm going to consider this assisted by Hoyd.
Okay.
Okay, where's my thing? Okay.
I've never used this die before.
Oh no, where'd my pen go? Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's plenty fine.
Let's
Quite
see.
nice.
It's a 19. Okay. He doesn't make any indication that he didn't believe you. Very well. We will. I will give you one guard for yourself. We
Excellent.
will post 3 other guards around the square.
If you can do me a favor with those postings,
He doesn't say anything, but he does look at you.
can you make them nondescript? I don't want them to be known that they are there, protecting us.
Plain clothes, yes.
Thank you.
We can do that.
So for the next part of the plan after that, sometime during the evening...
I'm gonna just switch this music over, because this is not the
The
appropriate
way,
music for
the way this guy talks is gonna make me have to do a wisdom saving throw.
Be nice to him, yes.
Be nice.
It's full of anxiety, isn't
So
it wonderful?
So he brings you along. Yes, it's full of anticipation.
God damn it.
The thing you can't see is every time I do his like stuttering, I'm like raising up onto my toes and leaning forward.
I can feel it in your voice.
So
I really can.
So Gerald takes you further down the hallway, away from the front door. He brings you to more what you assume to be his office, but it's kind of more of a broom closet. He leaves the door open so that each of you can sort of make your way either in or at least look in. He brings up from inside of his desk. He pulls out a parchment and he has what appears to be a long list of names. Drop my pen. Well, we can assign. Oh, I did write this down. It's on a different page though. We can assign Feng to you, Mr. Hoyd. Feng will make sure you don't get hurt.
I appreciate that.
For the other guards, I think it would be best if you didn't know who they were, in case you do something we don't like.
I can appreciate that as well.
Good. Kind of rolls up the parchment, puts it back into his desk. Or passes over a desk.
But we're not done.
He looks up at you, doesn't say anything.
After the story, during the night, you will see cloaks, hopefully, appear in the street. Do you know what you're going to do then?
We're going to collect the cloaks and speak to the people inside.
Excellent. So you do understand.
Yes.
Would you need our assistance in that endeavor?
No.
So
When you ask that question, you see his expression sour slightly, as if he's slightly offended by the question.
I only ask because we've seen some of these members. It may help.
I think we can get it.
Okay. And to the rest of the group, are you happy with this? Are you content?
Yeah, sounds fine.
Prudence, Prudence wondering if the list of names contains exactly 100 people. If you really want to know, I'll have you make a perception check. But I don't know if you can see from where you are. Okay, no, it's not a list of names off my D100 table. It's actually a D600 table, but that's fine. No, it's.
Wait, how do you even roll on that?
You roll a D100.
Roll which table?
You roll a D100 6 times, and then you roll a D10. But anyway, it's not actually. I just made that up. That's not a thing. So,
Actually, wait, no, that actually kind of sounds reasonable. Like, you roll 6 D100s, and then you roll... Wait, no, you just roll a D100 and a D6.
yeah, the math wouldn't really work out so well. So
it's 600 entry tables. The D6 tells you which table.
I will be sure to figure it out and let you know. But or I can ask Tim. I can ask the bonus action guy. But anyway.
It's pretty much
So-
be that.
In the next part of this plan,
Yep.
Shigun and Rurik, I don't have a specific role for you yet. What would you like to do?
You've more or less finalized what's going on, and you've left the office. Dural stays in his office. He does send like a servant or somebody to get Fang. You haven't met Fang yet, but you're now just sort of in the hallway outside his office. Oh boy, good music for this.
But only 30 seconds.
So Rurik and Shigun.
I figured you were going to answer Prudence's question.
Oh, sorry. I'm not on that screen. Is it Feng? It's F-E-N-G, Feng.
Is there any particular element of your plan that needs additional assistance?
Just, I suppose, making sure we're not interrupted during the story. I would hate to have cultists actually show up.
I can certainly attempt to do that. I also have the added benefit of not looking like an adult.
Wait,
I thought
what?
that was my thing.
I meant height wise. You just look childish in your outfit most of the time.
I'm also short.
Stupid one mic. Trying
But
to
yeah,
sort
you
the
have a
voices
point.
between the two of you.
Oh, sorry. I'm Rurik.
Yep, I realized that after the fact.
Shigun is not particularly short.
That's why I was confused.
Ah,
You're very tall.
I dropped my dodecahedron.
Oh no.
Since I've associated with the cultists last night, should I stick close to them to continue to monitor things, or...
That's not a bad idea, actually. If you keep tabs on them.
Because I feel like if I were suddenly absent from them and running around with you guys, that might rouse suspicion if they happen to have people keeping watch on us. 'Cause we don't know where their eyes and ears are.
It's a very good point. That's a great plan. Zook, would you mind keeping contact with Shigun?
And Prudence as well, since Prudence was with me the night before.
Prudence says, I'm coming with you to help.
Prudence, do you have message?
To Shigun. Yes, I do.
Okay. Then yes, we'll keep in contact.
Excellent. That makes things a lot easier.
In a worst case scenario, Prudence and I should be able to handle ourselves and fight when it break out.
We got like cantrip walkie-talkie.
So, Zook, you and I will gather the children.
Alright. Yeah.
As you're making this plan, you hear from around the corner, "Oi!" And coming around the corner, you see a very tall individual, probably pushing about 8 feet. Greenish tinted skin. You can see he's got 2 tusks kind of sticking up from his lower jaw. And he approaches the group of you just right around the corner. Fang, what you need?
You must be a kind soul.
He looks over at you and just scowls. You can see he's not wearing a whole lot of armor. He has like a basic sort of leather jerkin on his upper body and a set of like basic mail pauldrons on his lower body. He has a very large sword, probably almost a little taller than you are, actually, Hoyd. Sword strapped to his back.
Prudence, I have a question for you.
He has no hair, and a small little beard coming off the bottom of his chin.
What was Feng's role that he was mentioned?
Should I ask him if he wants to be anything in the world? Anything he wants?
What?
Oh, where he was the guard associated with Santos.
I'm looking for a Hoyd. Who's Hoyd?
Yeah.
I am Hoyd.
Prudence says, no, that sounds like a bad faith question. Hoyd,
It would be fun, though.
Draw sent for me.
Yes.
Keeping
Yes,
you
Feng.
safe. Keeping you
I
safe.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Can you not look so menacing, though?
As he
Well,
does,
you can't just ask someone.
as
Can they
you
not
ask the
look
question,
menacing?
he's like hunched forward slightly. He stands up a little bit, and he looks more menacing because he's now at his full height. But that's the best he can do.
Okay. We're here to entertain children.
Okay.
You wouldn't know it, but he's apparently the more jokestery of the two of us.
He looks over to you, and he's like almost looking straight down to look at you. Okay.
I know. I'm confused too.
Excellent. This will go swimmingly. Let's collect the children.
When
idea.
when you say that, you see Feng's face, like he looks from side to side. He doesn't say anything, but he looks from side to side and just is like, "What did I just get myself into?"
I love the phrase "collect the children."
I know.
It sounds so bad.
But he then moves to stand off of Hoyd's shoulder.
Excellent. So my plan is to...
I'm genuinely considering at this moment using like prestidigitation to write "it was his idea" on my hat. I'm not gonna, but I'm thinking about it.
Feng just kind of looks over the group. Doesn't comment, but he looks over each of you. And when he gets to Shigun, you're not exactly close to his height, but you have the appearance of being the closest in strength to him. He gives you a nod.
I nod back.
He seems satisfied with that response.
So I will up nod or down one? What?
It's a down nod. It's
right.
a down nod for sure.
Because that makes... whatever.
It does make a difference.
I am going to play a song, a cheerful tune on my lute as we stroll through the streets. Zook, I hope you will
Okay, so you've all left.
perform.
You've all left the Lawmaster's spire.
Oh yeah.
I'm
we've been out of
gonna
that.
be juggling. Regarding the nods thing, like that's a real life linguistic thing. Like you might not be conscious of it, but there's definitely a difference in meaning. Where the sort of nod where like you move your head up, which is kind of like
Oh yeah,
He's
there-
also
there-
8 feet tall.
like a
There
challenge sort of
absolutely
thing.
is, but he's also
And a nod
he's
nod
also
where you
an
move your
8-foot
head down.
So
Yeah, like a
Um,
nod where you move your head down, on the other hand, is like, yeah, we get each other, you know?
yeah, right, yeah. Well, so that's the
It's-
important
it's-
distinction, yeah. So
It's
Prudence,
yeah.
you say you go your separate ways. Where are you going with? I assume I want to say Rurik and Shigun. You're splitting off, right?
I think it's just me and Prudence, unless
Or is it
Rurik
just
has.
Shigun and Prudence?
I will be
Okay.
I'm going to Actually, I'm actually considering taking off my armor for this, so I appear less conspicuous.
You do have a set of vestments.
I do.
As part of your
Rurik?
background.
I would leave your armor on. I'm not counting you to be stealthy. Or even quiet.
Oh,
So
or
Prudence.
do you want me to blend?
Um,
I took it to mean you wanted me to blend into a crowd better.
No, not at all.
Huh.
I intend for you to be in earshot if things go bad.
Well, of course.
And then if they do go bad, I need you to be at your full capability.
Fair enough. And
Okay.
I am one spell down, but I am otherwise at full capacity.
That's fine.
I will then just.
You say that
I'll follow you at a distance. Keep an eye on things.
You say that
survey the
lording
area.
over all the warlocks in the game.
I hope we get that cart soon.
Yes,
Um,
that is, well,
alright.
what time is it?
It's early afternoonish. I'd say like if you had to give an hour number to it, it'd be like 1 or 2ish at the latest.
Yes, I would
If
absolutely love to procure a cart at some point if available.
If you wanted to, I
We're a bit
think
busy today, though.
so
we are busy today. But Rurik and Shigun could go collect a cart.
So Prudence is intending to hang out with any cultists to send Shigun to talk to them. Is that what
Thank
Shigun
you.
would like to do?
Thank you, Prudence.
That's fine with me. The main thing I'm intending to do is to make sure that my presence with the rest of the party doesn't arouse suspicion. That's if I stick closer to the cultists than you're going to be in the area.
Likewise, I want to prevent arousing suspicion by staying away from the cultists.
What a wonderful dynamic we have.
Wow, it's almost it's the party. It splits itself.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you guys are splitting the party. It's so much fun.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Right.
so you three,
So-
Like,
you're
like
like
the-
off their
the-
shoulder.
the only
You two-
time that we do not split the party is when we're on the road.
Right.
Pretty much.
And in that case, then we're each doing our individual little errands.
Alrighty.
Yep.
While
so,
all happening
This is
to be
how
in the
we
same
accomplish more stuff, though.
clump.
So for this
We absolutely can.
little bit, I'm gonna shift over to Prudence and Shigun. And I'm gonna stick
Thank you.
with
I'll
you
be
for a
one
little
sec.
bit, and then I'm gonna move over to Rurik, Hoyd, and Zook. So, gonna give you time to prepare for your thing. Prudence and Shigun, you've left this Lawmaster's Spire. It's early afternoonish. The sun's just cresting the top of the sky. What would you guys like to be doing? You said you'd like to look for some cultists and interact with them. Prudence, you get some snacks on the way. All right.
All right,
It's-
I remember the snack bit.
It's relatively easy to find, actually, in a city like this. You find a number of
Man,
street
I'm
vendors
Fried food
that
now.
are selling a number of different types of food. Fried food is perhaps beyond the technology of Greyhawk, but you do
Well,
find.
Fireball on it.
On one hand, it's not that hard to like pour oil into a metal pot and then put it above a fire. But on the other hand, oil's rare to get, and boiling oil, I expect, is used more as a rare kind of weapon.
right,
and, like,
it's-
a cooking
it's-
thing.
Vegetable oil doesn't exactly exist in Greyhawk, so.
Yeah,
Or-
you'd have to like.
I guess you could use like tallow, but anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
Any seafood-based ones? At this part of the world, you don't see any immediately. You see mostly things like mutton, beef.
Yeah, then
There's a
the
couple of
unfortunate thing about-
places selling like chicken pieces. I wouldn't call
The
them
unfortunate thing about
cannibals,
Greyhawk is that fried chicken does not exist. You have to settle for the shake and bake.
but it's true. Okay, yeah. So you get a hold of a. The merchant calls it a piece of a steak flank, but you buy it and it's definitely not a piece of steak flank. This costs
So it's a black
you
flank.
this costs you 2 copper, just to get this, but it's edible, but it's not what was advertised. So you guys make your way over. I'm not even gonna bother making you roll because they're friggin' everywhere at this point. You do see a number of groups. They're always in pairs. Interestingly enough, they're always in pairs. These religious members.
Excellent.
So-
We'll blend right in.
After Prudence purchases the food, he says, "This plan better work. I'm sinking so many resources into this," as he drops the 2 copper into the merchant's hand.
I'm sure it will be fine.
So yeah, you have, I'll say, just for a random number, you have 4 groups with an eye shot. They're always in pairs. That you see. Oops, negative 29. I almost turned up the music to plus 29 instead of minus 29. That would have been bad.
Oh dear.
That would have been extremely loud, yeah.
I'll just say for the sake of ease of handling this, there are 4 groups within eye shot. One of which you do recognize. You do the individual that Hoyd spoke to before, that was previously labeled as number 1.
Where is he?
Is in that group. Is in one of the 4 groups, but otherwise they're individuals that you haven't seen before.
Does it look like they're just kind of hanging out, or are they coming and going from any particular direction?
They, well, make a perception check
Okay, 1 second.
while you guys are standing there and watching them. $21. Jeez, you guys are rolling well tonight.
Too bad we
So
can't do that in combat.
Yeah, no kidding. You guys, you do notice that they're not going or coming from any particular direction. They tend to like hang out on a particular intersection or in front of a relatively well-traveled merchant. They appear to travel a certain distance away from them to speak to somebody and then return to their original location.
So it's basically their stomping grounds.
Pretty much, yeah. Like they're hanging out in well-traveled zones, approaching people, and then returning to where they were before.
Hmm.
I gotta be careful with the analogies I make because I live in Boston, so I can make a lot of analogies right now.
Hmm. I think for right now, I think I'm going to continue to observe them for a little while. Not looking super conspicuous, but also not like intentionally looking like I'm trying to hide either.
Okay. For the sake of it, because you're trying to look like you're not looking right at them,
Mm-hmm.
I will say make a stealth check. Just
Okay,
for the
that's
sake
fair.
of it.
That's fair.
You're not looking to be hidden, but you're looking to avoid looking like you're directly looking at them. So, all right, Prudence gives you a 12, which, as you're doing this, Prudence, as when you go to sort of like alter your habits, as you're doing this over the course of the day, Prudence mutters a couple of things to you, a couple of suggestions to you over the course of the day or the time period to make you appear less obvious, and you follow his suggestions, and it seems to work out pretty well. One of them does start to approach you. One of the pairs starts to approach you, but then a pair of individuals who are, but gotta be careful how I phrase this, of higher class than you, walk past, and they change their attention to those individuals and approach those individuals instead. But more or less, they don't seem to be taking particular interest in you. The one that has seen you before, the one that Hoyd spoke to before, actually one that you spoke to before as well, does notice you and notices that you're still there, but he doesn't, from what you can see, he doesn't make any motion to approach you and doesn't make any motion to inform his companion that you're there either. It's more like he recognizes you and then returns to doing his job. It's not like he's constantly looking at you.
Does it look like they're specifically going after whomever looks the most wealthy or higher class as the people walk through, or are they just picking people at somewhat random?
With a 21, yeah, they're definitely looking for people that appear to have higher status in society.
I see. So they're going after the... Okay.
They do speak to the commoners. If there's nobody else around, there are people who are being approached, and they interact, and they seem to have positive interactions. But in your observation, given the option, they go for the person of higher status. Which is interesting to you because the people of higher status tend to snub them more during your observation of them. I will say, how much time would you like to spend doing this? Just so I can keep the timeline straight. And Prudence, if you're looking for anything in particular as well.
Yeah. If I had to ballpark a number, I would say maybe an hour to start out with, if Prudence is okay with that as well.
Okay. Alrighty, so Prudence is supporting you with whatever you need. So you spend the next hour or so observing. I'm going to gear change over to Hoyd, Zook, and Rurik. You folks...
Rurik stepped in the kitchen for a moment, so I'll fetch him real quick.
Okay.
He'll be back in a second.
That's all right. So you folks have departed the Lawmaster's Spire, and you've not exactly parted ways, but you've moved away from each other. So what would you guys like to be doing at this point? You've got about an hour game time before I shift back over to Prudence and Shigun.
Okay. So I'm playing my lute through the streets. Zook is juggling, I'm assuming.
You're juggling? Okay.
And we're just trying to get as much attention as we can. Think of like an ice cream truck. That kind of
We are doing a parade.
Oh,
we are.
Okay.
Yep.
Now
you gotta find it.
Can I have both of you independently make performance checks, please? I like that one.
Performance, eh?
I just got back and I was going to do a thing, but it's okay.
What are you going to be doing? I don't want to stop you from doing that.
I was going to
Wait, are we doing performance with advantage?
Hang on. No, you're not. But what's up, Rurik?
Before they went ahead, like I assume we approached an area as a group, but before they broke off and did their performance, I wanted to slap both of them on the shoulder and say, "I wish you both luck in your endeavors," and cast guidance on both of them.
Okay.
Ooh, what does guidance do?
Guidance, I believe, is advantage on the next check, right?
Yes.
Oh, so we do get advantage on their performance.
Oh no, sorry.
I'm assuming
For the next for the next minute, you can roll a d4 and add the number to any ability check.
Okay,
is
so
it a concentration?
we're gonna.
It is concentration up to a minute, but it is cantrip, so I can say you are continually casting it if you'd like.
Are we
Yeah.
gonna add that to our performance rolls?
It was my goal to basically do it consecutively for both,
Okay.
if
So
you'll allow that.
I believe guidance. Yeah, so guidance can be on one target at a time.
Okay.
So pick one of
Do
them
it for
to give
Zook.
guidance to.
Do it for Zook.
Do what?
Zook.
So we're just.
I'll
So, like,
lightly lay a hand on Zook's
Alrighty.
shoulder.
So are we continually applying this extra guidance roll to our performance check, which means that we both take our rolls and then like add a d4 to them, and that's our performance for the whole parade?
Well, you only
Yeah,
have to make one check. So
It's for one check, yes.
if you would like to add your d4, that's fine. You've still got a minute, but it's going to be more than a minute for this performance. So I'll say you rolled a 21, so 25. Okay. Wow, you rolled a 4 on the d4. Nice. Hoyd, I'm going to have you re-roll because you're not rolling with advantage. It's an independent check.
That's fine. I am rolling with advantage.
So that's d20 plus d4
right,
plus.
right. Duh. Yes, you are
Wait.
rolling with advantage.
Wait, why?
Magic items.
Oh, right. No, yeah, because.
I keep forgetting that I
Okay.
gave you guys unbalanced magic items. Anyway.
Yeah, a bit of that.
So that's a 25 plus a d4.
Ah,
Alrighty.
that's
So
It
25.
is, and I love it.
that's why
Is
you
it-
meant that's why.
So it's a 25 and a 25. So both of you do your performance throughout the sheets. Not only do you actually attract the attention of pretty much every child within a 6-block radius, you also attract the attention of quite a few adults as well. And
The
they're
performance was too good.
there is a you do see as you're going through the streets a human with he's got like a lyre that he's been plucking away at. He kind of stands up and makes his way toward you guys and falls into step without saying anything to you and starts playing and rolls a fucking 21. Jesus.
Yeah.
And without even saying anything, harmonizes with you perfectly.
Excellent.
Just
I-
straight
real
up
talk,
flash
I
mob.
appreciate the help.
I love
We are-
musicians who can actually do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, he
We
had a
are
plus
flash
2.
mobbing the game.
He had a +2, guys, and he rolled a 19. God damn it.
So what you're saying is, you broadcast G3, you broadcast G4 to the town.
Could have.
Friendship is magic.
Go to bed. So you guys travel. How far do you want to go with this? You just want to like go through the entire city because it's gonna take you like a good hour to travel from one end of the city to another.
I want to
Well,
gather a crowd of 20, 30 kids.
Well, we're trying to round up them kiddos, aren't we?
We are.
You round up them kids.
Okay, well 20, 30
Yes.
kiddos is like 3 blocks worth. So
Oh, okay. Is there a good
It's-
performance space where we can play?
I'm trying to think. From the Lawmasters.
As I'm walking around, I'm looking for it.
Yeah, from the Lawmasters. Yeah, I'd say. I mean, any major intersection that you come to is a good like 30-foot square.
Is there like a cul-de-sac I can play in?
A cul-de-sac. I'll say make a. This is gonna be weird, but bear with me. Make a survival check to see if
okay.
you remember the layout of the city.
Yes, no, survival makes sense here.
Oh, the Prudence, that was amazing.
Yes, it's a cul-de-sac.
No, the idea is that it shouldn't be.
Oh,
Because
Oh,
we're
I
sacking the cult.
So what's your survival check?
Oh, hold on. This will be bad.
Navigation, man.
Should I also roll for this?
Are you looking for the same, or are you just following Hoyd? That's the question.
Actually, yeah, I'm just following Hoyd.
Okay. So, Hoyt, you don't find, like, a cul-de-sac per se, but you do find... You approach one of the intersections nearby, and it seems to be relatively low traffic, so you can probably gather a crowd without worrying about people getting run over by horses.
Fine. I just want to be out of the way. And that was survival.
Well, survival is wisdom by default, but
Oh, whatever.
I'd say because you don't know the layout of the city, I'd say this would be more of an on-the-fly wisdom type roll. If he
I agree.
knew the
That
city,
makes sense to me.
if this was like 9vec where he knew the city, it would be an intelligence check. But anyway, so you find an intersection. It's relatively large. Like I said, it's about 30-ish foot square. There doesn't seem to be a lot of foot traffic. And you do gather quite a crowd. It's probably close to 40 or 50 almost people. You tend to, your performance and Zook's performance as well, and the individual that apparently has followed you performance as well, have been generally geared towards children. So the crowd is primarily, I'd say, 30-ish children. Like, you've got a lot of kids.
That'll do. That'll do.
A lot of urchins that you see, like, come up and follow you, but there are a good amount of children, and there are a good amount of adults as well in the back of the crowd that are, like, holding children as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 30-year-old
Yes, 30-year-old children.
So
Also
is
know-
our
What's
So
up?
is
Many
our
infant
angle
or
that-
lots
that-
of old folk.
Hang on, what's up, Zook?
so I'm just wondering, like, is our angle for this talk gonna be like, oh, we're doing an educational, we're gonna teach you about the robes, right? Like, is that the angle?
Not so much.
Actually, no, Hoyd's the presenter. I should just, like, let him do.
Yep.
You're the backup dancer.
There you go. Do you have, hopefully you have something to, illustrate this event? Oh, yeah, that's horrible. Ember. Zook, do you have any illusion spells?
What kind you want?
Anything?
Well,
I will leave it to your judgment. Just follow the story.
okay. I can probably do the stuff you want. Like, unless it's, like, unless it's supposed to be pretty big,
No, it's
in
not.
which case then I can't, but... Again, I can only change my own appearance so many times, but other than that, I got you.
Okay. So, I'm going to let Zook entertain the crowd for a minute. I'm going to duck around a corner if I can.
Okay. Make a stealth check.
Should I also make a performance check, or is that, like...
I will continue your 25. That's fine.
Okay.
Unless you'd like to make another one, I'm not going to stop.
No,
you,
we're
but-
good. We're good.
That's what I thought. 17. Okay.
Holy shit, that's 3 die in a roll that matched exactly live and worm.
Okay. Yeah.
How weird is that?
You-
Anyway.
You take a quick duck around one of the corners. Looking around, it doesn't look like anyone seems to have followed you. Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you rolling both? Is the question.
Curiosity. I'm rolling worm as live roll. I'm like just rolling because it rolled the same. I'm like, wait, does this keep happening? It keeps happening. That's
I was
crazy.
gonna say you can't take advantage by rolling on 2 different systems.
No, it was
so-
a curiosity thing. That's all it was. The worm roll is the live roll.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the first time happening. Like, wait, really? And that keeps
Yes.
happening.
Yes, Prudence is right. I've
you
quantum
know that-
entangled your dice.
No, you know that pair of dice that you gave me?
No.
I did a stealth of a sleight of hand, and gave one to the bot and the other one to you.
Oh yeah. Those dice. Yes, that's right. Oh my
You
god,
have
no.
trick dice.
Oh, right, those dice. I forgot about
The
those
trick
dice.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Um,
any of y'all's magic
so-
items.
So with a 17, yeah, you.
I'm kidding,
you-
I didn't do that.
you
Those are
duck quickly-
D6s.
Yeah, you duck like quickly around the corner. You look around. You don't see anyone immediately around you. You're not exactly in an alley, but you don't see anyone that's looking right at you at this point.
It's only breaking line of sight. That's all I'm looking for.
Yep.
I'm gonna cast Disguise Self.
Okay. What would you like to look like?
Hoid.
Oh, without the got it. Okay.
Wait,
So
are you
you-
dropping a disguise?
No.
No, so his physical disguise is not Hoid, and he's disguising himself to look like Hoid.
Perfect
assume-
Hoid.
I assume
Polished
with
buttons,
I
everything.
assume without the handlebar.
Without the handlebar.
Yeah, without the handlebar.
As much as I love it.
Alrighty.
I see.
So
You are a complicated man,
So
Mr.
Zook-
Boyd.
Zook, as you're performing and as you're doing your tricks, you're actually you've started to do a couple of things that you've been practicing, and they've been hitting off pretty well. You turn to look at where Hoid had been, and he comes out in his original appearance with the finely slicked hair and his shiny, black button up, sort of asymmetrical shirt.
Quick change, I like it.
No mustache. That's the important part.
That's the perfect part of the disguise, is the mustache.
Yes.
Or lack thereof.
Okay. Yeah. As you pop out, nobody seems to have noticed the change.
Explain that.
Are you speaking to me?
Yeah.
Explain what?
Nobody seems to have noticed the change.
So let me rephrase. Nobody seems to have noticed the change in the sense that nobody seems to know that you're the same person that was before. Nobody is like
Perfect.
nobody's pointing at you and drawing attention to it. Let me put it that way.
Okay. That is... Thank you. That's what I was hoping for. Welcome, welcome, welcome! I have a wonderful story for all of you.
The crowd that had been like sort of cheering and like pointing at Zook all sort of like settles. They're still looking mostly at Zook if he's continuing to perform, but they've all.
No, I close my performance and give a bow.
Okay.
You know, like
yeah.
like
You
I'm the
finish-
pre-show. Here we're doing this.
Okay. Yeah. So you finish your performance. You finish with a flourish, and there's a bit of like sparkle is in the air, and the kids that are right nearest to you go yay! Some of whom are actually taller than you. But so you finish your performance, and they've seemed to have mostly quieted down, and they're all directing their attention toward Hoid. Hoid, you do see one adult in the very back kind of lean over to another and whisper in their ear and point to you, and they both just kind of shrug and continue on.
Do I recognize them at all?
You do not recognize the individuals.
Okay. I have a dark and a little scary tale for all of you, but it has a good ending. So listen close. So I proceed. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
As you're saying this, the whole group of children sort of like becomes quiet, and they all lean in.
I'm definitely still on the stage. I've not like left the stage. I'm just
Yep. Yeah, you're still there. Okay.
So this is a story about a brother and a sister who have a normal, happy life, normal dinner, normal play during the day, And then all of a sudden, their parents come home with 2 cloaks with the red hoods. A few more
I'm gonna-
days go by.
Zook, can I have you make a perception check for me? Continue
Can I-
on with your story.
Sure.
I'm wondering. I want to try a dice thing.
What's up?
I have no idea if this formatting is gonna work.
Let's find out.
D20 plus 1, comma. No, D20 plus 1, comma, 16, KL. 1. That doesn't work. Okay,
What are you trying to do?
I was trying to do a perception check, but also be like, also my passive perception and just be like, oh, whatever.
Oh,
But
versus
there's my perception check.
versus your 16 of your passive. Yeah. So in this case, your passive would override. Go ahead with your story, Hoyd.
Go.
I'll interject when it's necessary.
So they come home with these cloaks, and over the next few days, it's a normal life, and then one night, mother and father both disappear. And they come home late at night, very exhausted, and they put the cloaks on the bed.
There's a
few-
from the children of the crowd.
A few
I'm
more
gonna-
nights.
I'm gonna, like, use minor illusion to put, like, a picture of the cloak. Of the cloaks. Like, here's what the cloak looks like.
Okay, so you cast minor
I'm just being-
illusion, and above Hoyd's head, the cloak appears and sort of like doesn't rotate exactly, but it sort of spins on one axis and then turns the other way. And yeah, it's an image of the cloak that of one of the cloaks that you've seen. Yeah.
I don't want to be, like kind of dramatic about casting it. Like, woo, I'm doing this. I'm just doing more magic.
A few more nights go by,
Rurik.
and
Go ahead. Sorry, I'll do
the
this in
parents
text
leave
chat.
again. Except one of them doesn't come home. Only the mother comes home. She puts her cloak on the peg. She's distraught, crying. Kids don't know why, don't understand what's going on. A few more nights go by. She's obviously upset. She disappears at night again. Then she doesn't come home. Kids are wondering what's going on. Where's dinner? We don't know what's going on with any of this. Where's mom? Where's dad?
When you ask these questions, you can see the children sort of like turn to each other and start whispering.
Then a cloak appears on the peg. Their sized. It's okay. Put me on. Nothing wrong will happen.
At which point,
Yep, go ahead.
then I make a cloak of, like, my size and then, like, project it sort of in the air above the audience.
Okay. Make this is fun. Hoyd, make an intimidation check with advantage.
Okay?
It's a slightly different skill set than persuasion and performance. So $17. Okay, Rurik. I did ask for a perception check. Sorry, in the text chat.
Oh, sorry, I was typing elsewhere. I didn't see that.
Yep, because I know you're nearby. I just want to see that you're keeping tabs on the action. We are coming pretty close to the end of our time, so I will try and cut this off at a point where it'll make sense. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you do have inspiration. So 23. Good lord, 23. Okay. I will do Hoyd's thing first, then your thing. So, Zook, with with your assistance, and Hoyd, you see as you conclude the story, the children that are around you are all like turn to whisper to each other, and they look up at you, and you can see like genuine fear, the kind that only a child can project, with you as you tell this story, as you come to its conclusion. Rurik, you notice four, actually. You notice four adults, 3 humans and 1 elf, have made their way into this plaza area. The 3 humans have taken positions up, 1 at each cross street. The 4th human is just hovering toward the back of the crowd. And when the projection of the red cloak comes up, you do see that he turns and makes his way back out of the plaza.
So, during my story, how many adults are in the crowd?
Probably about 10-ish.
Are there any that seem more threatening than just parents?
Make an insight check.
So many things to click.
Yeah, Rurik, you do. As when the cloak first projects over Hoyt's head, rather.
Nope.
Is when that 1 elf individual leaves. Hoyt with a 6. They're either parents or they're bums looking to hopefully score, see if you've got food. That's as far as you can tell, unfortunately.
Okay. 3 of the non-parents.
Hold on. What's up? I think it was Hoyt who was about to say something.
Yep, I was.
Sorry, not Hoyt. Rurik, you were about to say something?
It can go after Hoyd's thing.
Okay, what's up, Hoyt?
So towards the end of the performance, the light around me gets a little bit darker, and my skin starts to glow a little bit. I want to force 3 of those to roll a wisdom save.
This is your mantle?
Enthralling performance.
Enthralling performance. Alright, what's your spell save DC?
14.
You're casting this on the adults?
I am.
Boy.
Okay.
You know what's great about commoners? That's a... Oh, Jesus, that's a 4. And a... Oh my god. And a 5. And a 22. Okay. Okay, so 4 and a 5 and a 20. So 2 of them fail. 1 of them succeeds flawlessly.
Good. I just wanted to make sure I have their attention.
Alright. Throughout the performance, there are 3 individuals in particular. One you can see just kind of looks off into the middle of distance for a moment and kind of shakes his head and continues looking at you. 2 of the others you see are not really paying that much attention, and then their attention is entirely focused on you.
So at the very end of my story to the children. But don't be afraid. There is something you can do.
I dismiss the cloaks.
Okay. Gone.
I'm sure some of you have seen these cloaks. They are the cause of all of it. You can save your parents. Tonight.
The children kind of all look at each other, and one of them pipes up from like the middle rear toward the left. How?
Tonight, after your parents go to bed, take these cloaks and throw them in the street. I will be there to collect them and take care of them.
Okay. Rurik, you notice the elf individual that had left the square previously has returned. There are 2 others with him. None of them are wearing cloaks. But you do see 2 other, this would be, which 2 would these be? This would be a half elf, apparently, and a human that come with him. They hang out about 10 feet away. They don't make any emotion to approach, but they are... You did notice with that perception check. You did notice them leave and come back.
Okay. You mentioned that this elf was alongside 3 or 4 other humans?
He comes back with 2 humans, so there's 3 in total.
No, sorry, but before, when you're referring to the people I noticed in the crowd.
Yep, so you notice 3 humans that have taken up positions sort of at the cross streets in the opposite corners from where Hoyd is. And then the elf left and came back.
Would I be able to... would I reasonably assume, based off of their position and the way they carry themselves, to be the covert guards that said they would be posted?
Make an insight check. Because Fang never pointed them out to you, so...
Right.
Do I see them?
Make a perception check on your own. Well, make a perception check with disadvantage because you're in the... during this performance, you're casting minor illusion, so...
Okay. Okay.
I would like to, at the very end of my performance, can I throw him inspiration?
This would be at the start. This wouldn't be something that you can do at the end. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So Rurik, you, based on what you know from your interactions with other people in the city, probably they definitely hold themselves with a slightly higher authority than just random people that are standing there.
All right. That's
Zook,
reasonable.
with a 9. Unfortunately, you're a little bit too focused on making sure the performance goes off.
I don't see anything unusual.
You don't see anything out of the ordinary. There are people that are coming and going. This isn't a 0 traffic zone, so this doesn't quite register with anything else. So.
And now that I'd like to turn my attention to the elf and their new friends, I'd like to scrutinize them a little closer, wondering if they appear to potentially be cultists without the robes, or how are they carrying themselves?
We are running up against the end of our time, so I will say...
Yeah.
I'd also like to dismiss the kids, too.
Okay, so this is gonna... These 2 things are gonna happen at the same time. So 1, Hoyd, you're gonna dismiss the children. 2, Rurik, as you're observing this elf individual who is coming back just as the performance is ending, make your own insight check. And then these 2 things are going to happen simultaneously.
I'm gonna message to Prudence that our performance is concluded without incident.
Okay, 27.
I have a specific message, too.
Yeah, watching the body language of these individuals that are coming back, they're not there to watch the performance. They definitely were watching the performance and don't like what was being said. And there, you can see as they come back, as the children are beginning to get dismissed, they are speaking to each other, looking over toward Hoyd and Zook, and discussing amongst themselves. Their body language doesn't appear to be neutral. They definitely have a reason to be back here, and they're definitely discussing something that is of a... How do I phrase this? Of a conflictory nature.
Mm. Right.
Can I see them from where I am?
I have a response and an action I'd like to do in response to that, but
Okay.
wrap up the rest of this.
I will say, Hoyd, because you're in the process of doing your performance, this would be something that, since your passive perception wouldn't pick it up, this isn't something you'd be able to pick up.
Okay.
Because this is happening simultaneously with you performing.
Okay. So I have one more thing to say to the kids, and then I think I'm done.
Okay, so the crowd is they've stood up, they've started talking amongst each other. The children are doing child things. What would you like to say to them on their way out?
No, tell your friends, but don't tell your parents. They won't understand you're trying to save them.
What? When you say this, the attention of every adult in the crowd is focused on you now. The ones that were holding children are holding children closer to them. The ones that were not are looking at you with a look of, beg pardon?
I jump off the stage.
Okay. Well, it's not exactly a stage. You kind of have this, like,
Right.
space, but
Right.
yeah. So
You
you make your way.
I move away.
Yeah, you move off that sort of like performance space that you've designated for your spells for yourself.
I follow Hoyd.
Rurik, what's your follow up?
I was going to try to get within earshot of the 3 individuals whose behavior has taken my attention. Ideally, somewhat covertly, as to not arouse suspicion.
Okay, I'll say you don't even have to move. The square is small enough that if it... I'm going to have you make a check, but the only thing you're going to be checking is if you can hear them over what Hoyd's already saying. There's not a whole lot going on. So,
All right.
go ahead and make a perception check just to see if you can hear them over, because almost nobody else is talking. It's just Hoyd right now.
That's fair.
And the
I
crowd
wasn't
is
sure if I was
starting.
actually within earshot already or not.
Yes, you were already in earshot.
Oh, damn
All right,
it.
so 9.
I
The
should've used
crowd, the
math.
noise of the crowd is starting to swell up. You do catch a couple of words. The words that you catch are could be a problem. But that's as much as you get before the children and the adults in the crowd start to talk amongst each other, and the sound in the plaza starts in this intersection starts to overwhelm anything you're able to hear from them.
All right.
And it is 10. So it is actually coming toward the end of our time.
Yeah.
So, as much as I hate to do it, I really love when we end on a long rest, but unfortunately we can't do that tonight.
We've done that, what, twice?
3 times, actually.
I was gonna say, I think it's been 3.
I will... I'm going to call it here. Remind me, because I know I'm going to forget where everybody is. So, in the middle of this tense situation, thank you guys for coming and playing. Our next session for the Thursday group is going to be on the 14th. That's March 14th. Sorry, May. Months. May 14th. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the regular time. I also have a Monday group that's going to be playing this upcoming Monday on the 4th. That's May 4th. Star Wars Day. So, yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for coming and playing, and thank the 2 concurrent viewers that we have right now.
Yay! All 2 of you.
Yeah. Have a good night.